Hairdressers of Reddit. Do you notice when your clients are not happy with their hair but are still trying to be polite? What do you feel in these moments? I cut men's hair. The only way to know is if they tell you. However, it's not uncommon for mothers of 20-somethings and wives to call and complain on their behalf. Haha, that's rich. I'd be mortified if I found out a parent or spouse ever called. Is there a polite way of saying, you literally did the one thing I told you not to do, and now I have to wait another 4 months for it can grow and long enough to have someone else frick it up again? In the UK we say yeah, that's lovely, thanks. I'm a customer and a dude. I like simple, quick, and quiet cuts. I go to this old USSR type lady who doesn't speak during the cut. She just asks how short and gets it done. Anytime she makes a mistake, which is rare, she will say loudly you have problem, and it scares me so much I just say no and she finishes the job. Love going to her, but I know she has seen some crap, so her messing up my hair is not worth whatever she would do to me if I said yes I do have problem. My wife just went to have her hair lightened. Apparently her hairdresser left her foil on too long and a huge clump of hair fell out. She was devastated, as you might imagine. The hairdresser blamed it on her and said she moved too much. I went back to talk to her manager. My wife can be too nice sometimes, and also to show them the chemical burn on her head. Even the manager tried to blame my wife and say she had a sensitive scalp. After an hour of arguing they gave us some product thanks, and said the next treatment was on them. Nah, frick that. I did a chargeback for the cost and she'll never go back. I once went to a new hairdresser. This guy was really nice, but he was firmly convinced that he could give my hair some nice curls and insisted that we tried it. The thing is, I know my hair. It's thick, mid-length, and tends to straighten itself due to the weight and thickness of it. And I don't mind. I like my hair. It's easy to take care of, soft, doesn't need a lot of work in the morning to look good. But I never could curl it. It just won't cooperate. So this hairdresser who never took care of my hair before proposed that we style them in a rather pretty way, with soft, natural curls. I tell him it won't work. Many other hairdresser tried before. So he says, yeah, but I never did. And I'm sure I can. So let's try it, I agreed. Thinking what the heck. If he sucks it's good for me. If he fails it won't matter. So for nearly an hour I watched the poor guy try to dry my hair in 100 different ways to get those damned curls. Only to end up with what looked like a stork's nest on my head. Only much cleaner and softer. He ended up more disappointed than me. He bore such a crushed look in his eyes upon realizing his defeat. While I was laughing my butt off at what I looked like. In the end I told him it didn't matter. Really, I didn't mind. In just half an hour my hair would return to its usual shape. So I paid him and left. He was so sorry he made me pay the short hair price. I went back a couple times since then, and I was happy with the result each time. That's great. Glad he understood his frick up. I definitely notice. My stomach immediately drops, and I feel a little upset that the guest doesn't like it, especially if it was a long service, but more disappointed in myself for not being the best stylist I could be. It's pretty easy to tell if they actually like it or not, because if they don't like it, they'll touch and pull on their hair more than usual, get up really close to the mirror to really inspect, and they take a minute to say anything to you instead of just looking in the mirror and being like, OMG I love it, it looks great. Usually if I see that they're not enthusiastic, I will inspect, ask questions, and try to fix it as best I can before they even leave. Are you sure that it's thinned out enough for you? Are you sure it's a good length? Those highlights are definitely gold instead of ash. Let's mix up a different toner real quick. Usually asking those questions helps you fix the problem and the guest leaves happy. You definitely can't please everyone though, so if they're still not happy after I tried to fix it, I'll do a more thorough consultation the next time and talk to another stylist about my plan for their hair to make sure what I'm doing is correct. And if they still don't like it, I refer them to another stylist. I really wish I could find an actual stylist that cares as much as you do. I hope your customers truly know what an angel you are. If only I could find such a stylist myself, and I'm a guy too, it's even harder. Till the Japanese have a term called ageatori that means the feeling of looking worse after a haircut. The Japanese seem to have a lot of terms words for strangely specific situations. Honestly, I've experienced this a couple times. I'm an open book. which my boss does not always enjoy, and if I send something, I just ask. More often than not a client will brush it off. Sometimes, they point out what they think is a flaw and I just fix it for them. No need to be scared. We're people too. Sometimes you cannot fix it. Went to a hairdresser and we talked very clearly about cutting 2 centimeters. He cut about 13 centimeters. I don't think he could have fixed this. Bless all the nice stylists here that feel remorse. I had one instance where I asked for a dark red, but the stylist insisted to give me a copper color, because I'd love it. I burst into tears when I saw it. It looked awful with my skin tone. She had the nerve to still ask me to pay and not even offer to fix it while I was sobbing at the counter. Thank goodness I called someone who told me to go back and not leave till I got the color I came in for. It took 3 more hours, but I did. Never used that place again. I feel you. Same happened to me, but copper was fine with my skin tone and I was afraid that second dye in a short time will damage my hair, so I kept it for a while. Yes, absolutely. In a situation like this, color or cut, I notice immediately even if they say I like it in a sheepish manner. If this happens, I tell the client for next time what I think would look good. They then feel more comfortable, and 99% of the time they open up and we discuss what we can do next time to get closer to their goal. Yeah, this exactly. However, I usually like to take my time in the initial consultation to try to avoid that mistake as much as possible. But when you have that client that just says you're the professional, I trust you, and that's the end of convo, is when more mistakes are likely to happen. To all you depressed hairdressers out there, I want to point out that looking in the mirror at your haircut may be the first time I've actually noticed how fat I've gotten. Just saying, sometimes it's not UK. I demand answers for the other times. I absolutely notice, and it just makes me really sad and disappointed in myself. It's my job to make you look and feel good, and I failed you. But please don't be afraid to ask me to change something for you. It's our job to make you look like the best version of yourself. If there's anything I can do to remedy the situation, I have no problem doing it. Just tell me what you want me to do. As someone who has definitely made that face in front of my hairdresser, I just want to tell you that I get a bit anxious sometimes when I go for a haircut, and my first thought after my hairdresser is done is, oh god, I am ugly as frick, and then a few days later I am like, oh hey, this isn't that bad. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. And if the next time I come and I ask you to give me the same thing, then 99% that means I was actually very satisfied with the haircut. As a client, I asked for a 5 all over, but the lady, who was new, accidentally gave me a 3 all over, and only noticed after she finished. She kept apologizing, so I just meekly smiled and said it's alright, paid and left. I don't think she felt too good after that. I sorta felt bad for her. When I was a student, my mum sent me a lot of money to get some serious highlights at a very posh salon. My hair is frizzy and explodes if you brush it, so the award-winning hairdressers put what they called a base layer on my hair, which would enable them to lighten it more next time. They brushed it so much I looked like a dandelion when I got out, and my hair was not a smidge lighter. I was so sad I sat in my uni room and cried. Not because of dandelion, but because I'd wasted all that money my poor mum sent me, award-winning my ass. Had a barber leave 2 nicks under my eyes when he was shaving my face. He didn't apologize for it or even mention it. Looked like a cat had scratched me under each eye. Come time to pay, I ask him about it and he chuckles and tries to tell me, oh, they'll lighten up in a few days. Never paid him or went back. I am a quiet and mumbly person, so I often worry that I give this impression to my hairdresser. I always sound unhappy, and if I try to compensate I sound sarcastic. Please don't feel bad, hairdressers. I feel you. Communication is hard. I'm so glad I've never heard this. My hairdresser is an incredibly blunt woman, and I'll just tell her I want it shorter or dyed, and she'll do it however the frick she wants. I remember one time she was asking me how much to cut, until she looked at me and said, you'll just let me do whatever, won't you? And I nodded, and she just did whatever. She's great. I have a similar setup. It's an old Korean lady that I can't understand a bit. She's super friendly, but when she talks I get about 30% of what she's saying. One time I went in and said 2 on the side, scissors on top, and she said no, too long. That was the last time I said how I wanted my hair cut. Now it is completely styled by a Korean lady and my towel. A few people have said, just say something. But the problem is, I've just sat in a chair for 3-4 hours, having no clue what the result is going to be until the final 20 minutes when they blow dry it. What am I supposed to say after all that time? I don't like it, do it again, rethoil, retone, rewash, re-blow dry. That'd be another 2-3 hours. Sometimes I'll say it's lovely, but next time I'd like to go lighter here and there. I'll say sure, but then forget at the next appointment. I started seeing a beautician in the early 90s. It was good. She was gentle. I loved the way she would wake me when I fell asleep under the dryer. She would gently caress my cheek, like a mom. When she would finish with my hair I felt so beautiful. Every time, I would smile at myself in the mirror and tell her, maybe I'll just wear a little lipstick with my new hairstyle. I don't want to put on blush and look too good. Even though, I would later found out, she had been through a lot. She always asked about me. Renee was so caring. As a black woman, the whole hair thing is just so much harder. Women can be catty and judgmental. Anyway, after seeing her for 3 years I broke down and shared some problems with her, and she said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have Brother Honey pick you up for church tomorrow. Well, Brother Honey was her husband and, as it turned out, the pastor of the church. They were so kind to me. They invited me into their home and their lives. I ate their food and played with their kids. I had been in foster care, so I had no family, so they became mine. I moved around a little and at one point had to take 3 buses to get to church. Well, one Sunday after church Renee asked me to do her a favor and run some errands with her. We go to the mall and she asks me to try on some clothes for her. I'm so thick I didn't figure out what she was doing. 2 hours later I walk out with 3 bags of brand new clothes. She and her husband had 5 kids of their own, but they always opened their home and their hearts to their congregation. She met her husband when she was in high school. They'd been married longer than I had been alive. Renee died 2 years ago. I can't stand the idea of anyone else doing my hair but her. We all miss her so much. Sorry this was so long. I just got my hair cut today. I am a 29-year-old bloke with bad social anxiety, so going to the hairdressers makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Plus today I was going somewhere for the first time. Anyway, so this really attractive blonde in her mid-20s comes over and introduces herself and asks what I wanted. I asked to make me pretty, and without missing a beat she said, I am good but I am not that good. Probably the first time I've had a conversation with a hairdresser that's gone beyond small talk. I hope that made you laugh instead of feel bad. She sounded funny to me. 1 on the sides and the back, short as you can on top with scissors. Can't frick that up. Until one woman did twice. I brought it up both times and the owner, head barber, fixed it. That woman no longer works there. Haha, this is what I get to. But some people's interpretation of a short as you can with scissors is too long. I am one of those people whose hair is stupid. No matter how it's cut or styled, I hate it until my hair settles. Usually takes about 3 or so days. Then I love the cut. But sometimes, people don't understand ginger cowlicks or the fine but gazillions of strands that make our hair flat. I cannot do long hair. I look like a drowned rat. Short, funky, make it pacey. I want texture. I need thinning. I need someone as picky as me. I have, however, worked the industry. I will always be thankful. I point out things I do not like, and they are quickly fixed. To our hairdressers, thank you for being so dang flexible. Thank you for letting criticism roll off, at least in front of your clientele. I have had a few good sobs in the back myself, and thank you so much for being our therapists and friend. Ginger with cowlicks here too, and a widow's peak. My hairdresser deserves a medal. This is gonna sound weird, but where the frick do you look when you're getting a haircut? I don't want to look at her cutter because it feels like I'm judging it or some crap, so I end up just staring at the table and the products laying around. Once I take my glasses off, I'm basically blind, so I just smile vaguely at the blurriness around me. No lie, I once went for a haircut, and when asked what I wanted and after telling the hairdresser what I wanted, I was promptly told, "Oh, you aren't good looking enough for that style." I was deeply insulted, but being English I smiled, laughed and agreed, paid, left and never returned. BTW, I am definitely no stunner, but I am also far from average looking either. Hairstylist for 15 years here. It does indeed suck when someone won't fully tell you the truth about how they like the end result. You really can see it in their eyes or read their body language. However, I've realized a few things over the years. Some people really struggle to explain what they want. If a consultation takes 15 minutes or more, they are difficult AF and you do not want them as a client. I will repeatedly ask questions just to make certain that we're both on the same page. Please don't get annoyed. I don't want you to leave unhappy. You can't please everyone. There are miserable people in this world who want everyone else to be just as miserable as them. Finding a great hairstylist barber can be like finding a great doctor or mechanic. You're not going to like everyone, but you'll eventually find one that's perfect enough for you. There are many more things, but it's really late and I'm exhausted. These were the first things that came to mind. I'm a type of person who doesn't know how to really get excited. Even on Christmas I'm happy to have gifts, but I don't know how to express happiness to a sufficient level. Getting my hair done is terrible. I don't know how to experiment with my hair. Things that I like, I'm told my hair won't do it or it takes upkeep that I won't be able to keep up with. So I get my hair done and I don't want to keep conversation with the hair lady. I just want it to be done and over with, and the anxiety of having to look excited freaks me out. It's a new haircut. You're going to have to give me like 2 days to get used to it. I hate going to the hairdresser. All the ones I've been to can't figure out what to do with curls. Last time I've been to a very renovated salon, they thinned the ends, gave me what I baptized staircase strand, where the lock close to my forehead was 10 centimeters shorter than the rest, and splat tons of conditioning products on it. It took weeks to get rid of the product so that my hair was finally curly again, and 3 years to get rid of that dang cut. After years of literal fear of hairdressers, I've managed to find one who does what I want, but it's too expensive to go too often. If I only want a trim, they find the way to put some crap on my hair so that the bill skyrockets. And still, every time I went was a clump of nerves. I didn't need to shower because of the hair afterwards, but because of the nervous sweat. Eventually, I got the simplest straight cut, made my hair grow wild and cut it myself. To all the nice hairdressers out there, I'm sorry, but I've lost faith. I'd rather look like a wild witch than hate my hair, my life and your entire profession. My barber is 95, been cutting hair most his life. The first time I went and I just sat down and he started cutting. Best cut of my life. I don't know what I'm gonna do in a few years when he's dead. Has anyone been dumped by their hairdresser? I felt like we were on the rocks, but she wasn't communicating with me, so I ghosted her. I'll never know what I did, but at one point she said you just got your hair cut after not seeing her for a month and wanting another one. She's cheating on you with other customers. Sorry you found out like this. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.